Hey there, welcome back. It's been a little while since I've made a devlog, so I thought, hey, why not? I'll just make one. Totally unscripted, just kind of show you what's been done so far, and just kind of explain the different things, show you how they work, so you can maybe get some cool ideas. All this video is going to be is to help you get some good inspiration on how to make certain things. So you might already notice with Paths of Peril that the UI has changed a little bit. I've mirrored it to match this kind of cool concept art I saw on a Reddit post, and I thought it looks better, so I decided to make it and try this UI out. There's also a little bit of changes done to the intro scene of the game, so I'll play it for you. And the intro scene should start any second now once the game finishes loading, and here we go. Portal opens. We come flying down in our house. Boom, we hit the ground. Here we are in the game, ready to fight. And you're also going to notice this is a brand new character as well. Look, we got Roblox in the game. He's going to be a character. He's got a nice sword right here to slash enemies. And you might see another new enemy over here. Yeah, this guy's a ranged enemy. And he's like a mech guy. He shoots laser beams at you, and he's kind of strafing around, so it's a little bit hard to hit him with your secondary, which is a sword throw. So let me see if I can hit him. I'm going to throw a sword. Ah, no, I missed. See? He's good at strafing. That's what makes this enemy a little hard. And if you get too close to him, yeah, he's going to try to clap at you and hit you with that. Let's actually see how much damage that does right now. Yeah, that hurts. That doesn't feel good. So let's just kill this guy here. There we go. We bonked him. He's stunned, and then we can just finish him up there, and there we go. He's dead. So yeah, this is the new character. His utility, as you can see, is this shield right here, which you can use to bonk enemies and stun them and get some extra armor boost as well as speed boost. And man, you just keep seeing new stuff. Here's another enemy. The noobs have been changed up a bit. And this guy is an exalted enemy. So he has his own little special ability, which is poison. So as you can see, I currently have a poison effect, and that disables my health regeneration. So if I hit his little poison bombs, they hurt me, and then I can't heal. And then he also has a bunch of health too, so let me just try to kill him off here. There we go. And you might see that this is a little bit similar to the Malachite, I think it's called, the Malachite Essence, or whatever you want to call it in Risk of Rain 2. That's kind of what I was trying to mirror here with this enemy. Oh look, here we go. We got another new enemy here with a different exalted ability. This one's called Leech. So when he attacks me, he gets a bit of health back, and his attacks also inflict bleed on me. So I bleed out a little bit when he attacks me, and he heals from it. So that's what this guy gets. Let's go ahead and finish him off here. There we go, he's dead. You might also notice that they have cool death sounds too, so they make a little bit of some noise. I thought it would be funny. In the bottom right, you can also see that there's a little bit of some UI displaying what state I'm currently in. So if I'm sprinting, it's going to show me that I'm in the sprinting state. And if I fight or I get damaged, you can see I'm also now in a combat state. And that can help display things for certain items that trigger during only certain states. So an example I think I could give is there's an item that will boost your health regeneration, but it's only when you're not in combat. So that will help you figure that out in the bottom right. You can also see there's a little bit of changes to the top right UI as well. We're in the easy difficulty. I added some little ticks to that progress circle, so you actually know at what points the enemies in the game are going to level up. Currently they're at level 2. But if I set the time to something like, I think it's maybe 260, there we go. Enemies leveled up again. You can see it flashes to white to indicate a level up. And now the enemies are just a little bit more difficult to fight. Here's another new enemy. This guy's a suicide bomber noob type guy. If you get a little bit too close to him, he starts his little countdown here of blowing up. And eventually he's going to blow up here. There we go. And he's dead. So that explosion will deal some pretty good AoE damage onto anybody who's in the range of the explosion. So he's a pretty formidable enemy. This guy's annoying. Actually, here, let's bonk that guy. Let me give myself a bunch of soda, and then let me just run away from the guy so I don't have to deal with him. All right, let me go ahead and summon one of those bomb noobs back here. And if you kill him, his explosion will actually happen a lot faster. I think there's only going to be like 2 ticks before the explosion happens. So when you kill them, you better get the heck away from them so they don't kill you. To be honest, there's been a lot of changes, like items and such, so I actually have no idea what's new and what's been added that wasn't in the previous devlogs. So we're just gonna, I guess, kind of open some chests and see if we can find anything, or if you can spot anything that's new. So I'm just gonna give myself, not an item, let me give myself some ticks. So now I can go purchase stuff. Actually, that's a problem in the bottom left. That should be scaling and moving, but it's not. I guess I'll have to fix that at a moment. Bloxy Cola, we've already seen that one. Let's see what else we can find here. I'm pretty sure that one already exists, or I've shown it in a previous devlog. I don't know. First aid kit, another scythe. Actually, let me just summon around me a bunch of vaults. So we'll do small vaults. We'll summon 5 of these guys and see what we get inside of them. If there's anything new here. You might also notice the UI's changed a little bit here when you pick up items. So it's displaying on the left here what I got, and it fades out. Looks pretty cool. You've also noticed here the teleporter model's been changed to this beautiful thing, which we've called a rift generator. So yeah, we're gonna get some lore in this game. So basically that infamous Roblox hacker, I think his name's 1x1, whatever. He's causing chaos, and he's built these machines to teleport people to his own worlds and to fight enemies or something. Yeah, that's what this thing is. So we can activate it to start the boss fight. And here's our beautiful buff noob boss. I don't know if I've shown this one in a previous devlog, but basically he's just like a regular noob. His punches really hurt, and he'll charge at you after a certain period of time. Here we go. And he'll grab you. Oh wow, he actually killed me. Yeah, he's kind of strong, as you can see. A lot of the changes that have been made so far are improvements to VFX and the VFX system we're using. So all the VFX is visualized on the client side. Nothing happens on the server side. And it's kind of a neat VFX system because even if there's a lot of stuff going on and there's a lot of VFX that needs to be visualized, of course the server has to tell the clients to visualize certain VFX. And let's say a bunch of enemies are dying, a whole bunch of stuff's going on, and you need to visualize like 20 different VFX in a single frame. An issue I was having before with that kind of system is that I would fire the remote event 20 times in a single frame, which was causing some kind of performance issues on the client side. In the microprofiler, it would pop up like a bunch of microprofiler tags relating to remote events, which was a problem. So the solution was to instead batch stuff that was happening in the game, specifically for like VFX, and then sending it all together as a single chunk of data and a single remote event call or firing to the client. So basically what happens is if a whole bunch of VFX needs to happen in a single frame, it's going to trigger a batcher. It's going to add this data into a queue or whatever you want to call it. And then that batcher yields for a certain period of time. Let's say task.defer, so we wait till the end of the resumption cycle, or we wait for about 1 frame. And then after we've waited for that frame, anytime within that frame, if there's other VFX that's been requested to be visualized on the client, they all get added into that queue. And then the batcher flushes itself, gives us all that data, and we send all that data to the client in one chunk. And then that client handles all of that data. So pretty cool. An example of this I could give using this packet profiler is let me give myself a Lightbox jar. I've also improved the VFX on the Lightbox jar too, so it looks kind of more fancy. And let me go ahead and summon a bunch of enemies around me. Let's summon like 10 noobs, so we get 10 Lightbox jar explosions happening in the same frame. And you'll see what I mean with this batching thing. So here we go, we got 10 of these enemies. Let's kill one of these guys or trigger a Lightbox jar explosion. Here we go. There we go, there we go. Aw, I missed it. Okay, let me summon 10 noobs. We're gonna kill one of these guys. There we go, he died. We're gonna pause it. There we go. So as you can see, detected some packets here for our VFX service. And actually I have an impulse service too for, you know, kind of throwing these guys around because the network ownership of those AI are owned by me. So as you can see, we've batched some data here because we have a single remote event call for, actually we have 2. But as you can see, we have some information popping up here. We need some orbs to visualize. On the client side, we have some light box explosions that need to go on here, as well as some damage highlights. As you can see, it all got batched into a single remote event call. So we had orbs we needed to visualize, we had light box explosions and damage highlights, a whole bunch of different VFX in a single packet here, single remote event call. And the same thing here with this impulse service I have to kind of impulse the enemies, you know, throw them around a little bit with some velocity. That's what that did here too. And if we go and observe this other packet here, you can see there's a whole bunch more data inside this one. So we had a whole bunch of stuff in here that we needed to impulse, a bunch of root parts, with a bunch of different velocities. And then same thing down here, we had to visualize a bunch of orbs, a whole bunch of different light blocks explosions that all got bundled together here, as well as some damage highlights. And look at that. All of these would have been separated into their own remote event calls in the previous system. So this table would have been a remote event call, this table, this table, this table, in a single frame. Okay, that's a problem. We don't want that. So instead, batching it all together into a single remote call helps a lot with performance problems. So thumbs up. Another thing you might be curious about maybe is, let's say, the torso tilting and the head tilting that follows the camera. So this is replicated, and it is very smooth, and it's also smooth for every other client in the game as well. And how this system basically works is that my client is telling the server where my camera is basically facing or what rotation I'm at, and then the server sets on my motor 6D joints the target rotation I should be at. So like for my head as well as my waist here, it sets an attribute on that, and then every single client in the game is listening for certain eligible motor 6Ds that need to be replicated. So the motor 6Ds that are in my character are tagged with a certain tag. So I use the collection service on all the clients to listen to those different motor 6Ds, and then I use the spring module to position these motor 6Ds, and it's all done on the client side, nothing visualized on the server, and that's pretty cool. It allows you to have very, very smooth torso tilting that every single player in the game can see. So that's how that's done. So basically how the system works is I have this character tilt service that's a package, so we can use it across any game we have, and it's a shared service, so it can be required from the server or the client, it doesn't matter. And there's a function in here to set the target rotation for a specific motor and what the C0 should be. And if you're doing this from the server side, then the server just immediately sets the attribute, no problem. But if you're calling this from the client side, we need to verify some things. So we fire to the server the motor, we want to tilt, and the C0. And then on the server side, we gotta make sure things are correct. Like the motor 6D the player is passing to us, we gotta make sure it's an actual motor 6D. We gotta make sure that it actually has the tag on it, otherwise it's ineligible. We need to make sure the C frame's correct. We need to actually make sure that this player owns this motor 6D. It's part of their character model. And if everything checks out, then we can set the target rotation on that motor. And then on the client side, if we go down here, we're observing a specific tag, which is our tilt tag. We make a spring for it. And then we listen to its target C0 attribute that sets the target for the spring. And then every single heartbeat, we're just updating the C0 on the motor. And that's it. That's how it works. So that's pretty cool. Another system I have here is when you use an attack or whatever, I want to rotate the character in the direction of my attack. So like I throw a sword, you can see it spins my character around, and then my character follows my mouse for a certain duration until it doesn't. And this is achieved using, I believe, align orientations and another module I have called the yaw service. So let's go ahead and take a look at that and see how that works. So we basically have a function in the module called yaw look at, and what this is going to do is just going to rotate your part only around the yaw or the y-axis to look at a certain part or in a certain direction. And in this function, it's going to continue looking at this particular part. It's going to track it unless you want to, clean it up. It returns a cleanup function when you don't want to yaw anymore. There's also an optional duration you can pass for how long you want to look at it, but this is what this function does. Creates an align orientation, and then this align orientation just has a C-frame in it that sets where it should look. And I have a function in my C-frame utilities that makes the math super simple, so I don't have to keep memorizing how to calculate this using trigonometric functions, because memorizing that stuff's not fun because I forget it. So This is why it's also a good idea to have function utilities in your game. I have two main modules that we use, which is mainly function utils and module utils. Module utils is filled with a bunch of useful different classes and stuff we use. Like this is a proxy thing for making proxy tables, part cache, this cache thingy, this batcher here, which I talked about earlier for batching stuff for remote events. We have this binder class here. There's a whole bunch of different stuff in here that's super stinking useful, and we use it across all of our games. Same thing with function utils. We have a whole bunch of stuff in here for interacting with different common things in the game. So like I have my observers in here that were made by Slightnick. This is super useful for observing different things. So like if we look at this module, actually we need to open up here and take a look. If we want to observe something like an attribute, this is super stinking useful. You just call function, give it the instance you want to observe, what the name of the attribute is, and then it calls it every single time the attribute changes, that kind of stuff. Same thing with tags. So there's a function here where you observe a certain tag. It calls this function for every single instance that has the tag, as well as instances that have the tag added to them. Along with that, you return a cleanup function, and this cleanup function gets called when the tag is removed. So this is super useful. This observer pattern is really cool. You should check out Slightnick's video on it. He explains it a lot better. And then there's other modules in here for dealing with other things. Like, for example, here is T. What is T? This is a runtime type checker. This is a cool public module that you should totally use because it makes runtime type checking super stinking easy, super stinking customizable. Like you can check the types of anything. You can set up dictionaries with certain types to make sure that it matches a certain interface that you expect and whatnot. And this is super useful for verifying stuff coming from clients to the server through remote events. So highly recommend using this module. It's literally called T. There's also some other cool functions in here for like interacting with the camera. Like this one right here, which is getting a camera aligned bounding box. This is super cool and useful for something I'll show you in a little bit. I'm not going to explain the math here because sometimes the math can get a little bit wonky. You just got to learn trigonometry. I probably don't know half the stuff in here. There's also a whole bunch of other useful services in here. You can see that all of them are packages, and that's because most of these here are basically universal custom services. Like we can use these services in any game because they're not proprietary. They don't rely on hyper-specific things for a particular game. You can use them across any game. And in fact, these different modules, the only things they really use, if I open up this one as an example, is going to be our module utils and function utils. These are really the only two modules that need to persist across our projects. But otherwise, as long as our projects have these function utils and module utils, man, we're good to go. We can use all of these different services because they're all self-contained. They don't have any third-party dependencies or anything like that. If you're interested in how the VFX system works, I made this VFX service, and this VFX service uses a module called refx, which is a public module you can use that makes communicating between the client and the server super duper easy for visualizing or replicating VFX. Now, when we want to summon a particular VFX, and this is being called from the server side, we're doing that thing that I talked about earlier, which is batching data into this user data. So I structure the data how I want inside of this user data with this VFX batcher. And then when the VFX batcher gets flushed, we fire to clients particular VFX that they need to visualize, because some VFX you can, with different arguments you can make VFX only appear for certain players, but this allows us only to fire the remote event once to a particular player with a whole bunch of different VFX that they can visualize, which is pretty cool. We also do the same thing here in this module for projectiles. So I needed a system where I needed to be able to have VFX for projectiles that only get visualized on the client side, but the projectiles have server-sided authority on when they get hit, and then that information gets sent to the clients. And that's actually how that venom projectile works when it's coming out of the enemy. Let's go take a look at that real quick. So when I give myself the venomous ability, which is an internal hidden item, and I become venomous, I'm going to shoot out these projectiles, and there we go. There's the projectiles. So those projectiles firing out are completely server authoritative, but the VFX that follows the projectiles are actually visualized completely on the client. Nothing is happening on the server. And because the server has authority over what gets hit by these projectiles, it tells the server, or it tells the clients what was hit, and then the clients again do another VFX to visualize these things. So these things are visualized completely on the client side, and the server doesn't see them at all. So in fact, if we go escape here, we go to the server view, and let's fly over to the map. You're going to see there's absolutely nothing here. It's just me. You're going to notice though that there are invisible spheres here that represent, no, that's a player spawn. Where's the maybe this one? Yeah. No, that's a respawn node. Where the heck's, okay, here we go. Here's the invisible parts. These things right here. These are detect parts that are completely invisible. You can't query them, you can't collide with them, but you can touch them. So the server is listening for when something touches these invisible parts, and then the server does the damage that way. Doing it this way means that the server doesn't have to visualize anything, it doesn't have to replicate any of this stuff, and it's all client-sided. And all the clients can see this, so it's pretty cool. If you're wondering how the AI in the game work, I used the state machine class that I found on YouTube made by another developer, but I heavily modified it. I added a whole bunch more features and stuff to it to make it more controllable and to just kind of manipulate it and how I want to use it. And this state machine class is great because we can go ahead and make AI controllers for the enemies in my game. And all these enemies have their own states, and they have their own transitions to go into different states. So this is a state machine. This is a great way to code AI or NPCs in your game. So like with my mech here, he has different states here and different transitions to go into different states. So he's constantly wandering around. If he gets a target, he's going to wander to the target. If he no longer has a target or he can't see a target, whatever, he'll wander to the last position of the target. This strafing is when, he's moving back and forth, firing his laser beam. This is the melee with his, clap ability, that kind of stuff. And this state machine makes it really easy to create AI logic. And it's really just easy to build on top of each other. Just copy and paste this stuff, make new states. And then I also added universal states to my state machine. So all the enemies in the game have the ability to be stunned. And there's transitions to enter and exit a universal state to determine whether or not an enemy can be stunned. Specifically, they need to have an effect on them to be stunned. And this kind of system just makes it really easy to make custom enemy AI that are super advanced. They have super smart pathfinding. So it can make the game a little bit more exciting when you're trying to fight them. I found this cool plugin called Lines of Code made by Slightnick, and it shows you how much code's in your game. So if you're curious what the code is like so far in this Paths of Peril project, we can just hit that. It's going to open up. And we are not including duplicates, I think. If I check this account, okay, yeah. We're not going to include duplicates. We're not going to include blank lines. So no duplicate code, no blank lines. And the current code count of Paths of Peril is 96,476 lines of code and 769 different module scripts. Regular script. Actually, these regular scripts are not accurate because a lot of these scripts are disabled because they're from certain VFX packs that I have in here. So you probably want to ignore most of this. So we could say this is technically like, we could say this is more like, let's say 90,000 lines of code. We'll just say something like that. 90,000 lines of code written for Paths of Peril. It's taken a long time, but we're slowly chugging along and we're getting there. There's honestly so much stuff going on in here that I actually don't really know what else to talk about. So if you guys are curious about how a certain system works in Paths of Peril, just put a comment down below and I'll explain it in whenever the next devlog is going to be released. Oh yeah, and before I forget, let's also take a look at the lobby. The lobby is super duper work in progress. There's like nothing done here. Super unpolished, no music, no nothing. So the lobby has a lot of work to get done, but we're kind of making a general idea of where items going to come from this shop. There's going to be a museum over here that's going to show all of your achievements, what items and enemies you've discovered so far, different things about how the game works and stuff like that. That'll be in there. This is the other rift generator here. This is basically one that's been stolen. All right, we got a rift generator, and this is how we send our troops through these houses into the infamous hacker's world to go and fight his minions, whatnot. And then we have this selection area here. And this selection area I'll actually demonstrate because this is kind of refers to what I was talking about with getting a camera aligned bounding box. So what's kind of cool with this is that if I go to the selection tool and let's select this thing, basically how this thing works is that my camera will maintain or keep the entire part here within my camera's total viewport. So even if I were to, let's say, rotate this thing, so let's rotate it, you're going to see that my camera moves back to be able to keep this entire thing within the bounds of the viewport. So even if I were to resize my viewport here, you're going to see it's going to keep it within the viewport, even when it's sized funny. So I'm going to like do something like that. You can see it's zooming out just to make sure that the entire part is within the viewport of the display here. So that's pretty cool. Along with this, even if we were to change the field of view of our camera, so let's say we had a bigger field of view, again, it's going to attempt to resize to make sure that the part, for the most part, fills up the entire screen. Even if we have a smaller field of view of, let's say, 50, we zoom in, or 40, we still have the entire part within the viewport of our screen. And that's why math is useful, guys. You gotta learn math to be able to use it to do cool stuff like this in your games. Otherwise, with this character selection area is where we can pick our survivor, who we want to be. We get to see the stats of that survivor. And then as well as some other information we got to add here, like the different skill selection areas, information about the skills and the stats of the skills. And then some other stuff's going to be here, like perhaps badges or achievements that you've earned for a specific guardian, your overall stats for them, and potentially cosmetics in the future too, because why not? And then once you're out of the character selection, you can hop over to one of these lobby houses here. It'll show you the lobby. There's nobody in it, what the difficulty is, and how long it's going to be starting. We have this cool little thing that follows your camera. That's more math. Pretty cool. And it has a limit too, so it doesn't rotate too far. And then we can enter into a house. We pop in here. We can choose the difficulty, whatever. All this stuff is super, super duper work in progress. But you select your difficulty, you hit ready, the countdown begins, and then it teleports you into the game. So I guess now, without further ado, we're just going to have some gameplay going on. So you can see a general feel for Paths of Peril so far and see what you think. So let's get a run going here. We got a solo run. We're going to be coming in. We're on the hardest difficulty, which is Death Wish. And we're going to kick all these guys' butts. So here we are in the game. We already got a mech over there trying to attack us. So let's start opening some barrels, get some ticks, get some XP in. Finish that guy off. And all we got to do is survive and make sure we don't die. Alright, we're going to get our first item here. We got a Robloxian clone. So this one, when you kill 4 enemies in a single second, you're going to enter into a frenzy. And what this frenzy is your attack speed increases. Actually, let's read it. So it increases your movement speed and your attack speed. So it's kind of nice to have when you're fighting a bunch of enemies at once. I don't know where that guy went. Here, let's give him a little bit of that, and boom, now he's dead. We open up this one. Let's see. Ooh, we got a cursed Corpbox pendant. So now we have some shields. That's gonna help us out here. We're gonna knock this guy into oblivion. There we go. Next item. We've got a health potion. So now we can gain some more health here. We're gonna kill these guys here. We got a bomb guy. We're gonna man, I love the shield skill because it's too much fun bonking enemies and seeing them fly away. You see this guy right here? Boom, gone. That guy's dead. Sword throw that guy. Ooh, dealing damage heals you. This is a good item to have. Let's open up this chest, see what we get. Got a riot shield. It's gonna reduce incoming damage. We got more of these bomb guys. Alright, here's how we deal with them. We just do that. It's too much fun. It's too much fun. Get another item. We got some of this. This is pretty good. So when we're low on health, this is going to help us with our attack speed as well as our damage. Just to make sure we have a little bit of a fighting chance before we die. We're not going to activate this just yet. We need to get all the items on the map. Here's a pinging system, so when I ping it, there you go. It makes a cool sound. sends a message in the chat that I ping the teleporter. So, and then I can't ping it again because it's already pinged. But I can make other pings on the map that didn't load. But there we go. I can ping enemies too. So there's an enemy there. And then now he's dead. I can ping items as well. Or, I mean, chests. And it doesn't seem like it's working for some reason. Probably need to fix that. Let me see if I can ping this barrel. Okay, no, it's not working. Alright, that needs to be fixed. I'll fix it whenever I get to it. We got a dual gravity coil, so that's going to give us an extra jump. If you haven't noticed already, the Roblox character already gets an additional jump count because he's kind of like a agile sword guy. He's kind of similar to... I don't know what the guy's name is in Risk of Rain 2. I think he's the mercenary. So this is kind of what he's similar to, but he has some unique abilities like our good old banhammer for just banhammering enemies into oblivion. See these two poor souls right here? They're gonna be decimated just like that. Oh, hey, look, we got a Thorns Exalted enemy here. So this guy's kind of unique. If you deal damage to him, he deals a portion of the damage back to you, as well as the fact that attacking him and his attacks inflict slowness on me. So when I attack him, you can see temporarily I have slowness, so it slows down my attack speed, and it makes me slower. That's kind of a dangerous enemy, especially if you're in a large group of enemies. He can really mess you up. We can go over to this vault right here, get us another 4-box pendant. Having more shield is not a problem in my book. I think we've just about gotten nearly all of the vaults or the chests on this map to get all the items this map has to offer. Just gonna grab that one there. We're just gonna throw our swords on these guys. There we go. Alright, I think we're ready to start the boss fight. So... let's collect a little bit of XP and ticks from here, and then let's get to the boss fight and start that guy off. Well, actually, look, we got a flaming enemy here. So their attacks inflict fire on me, which is not good. We don't want that to happen. Once I activate this teleporter, all of the AI that are on the map that are super far away are going to come to the teleporter. So we're going to be fighting a lot of guys here. Okay, let's stun this guy. There we go. Can't pick me up when you're stunned. That is a terrible person to be fighting right now when I'm fighting against the boss. I do not want to be slowed down right now. So we're just gonna kind of just keep attacking him here. We use our banhammer to kind of damage these guys up here. So far, game's not too bad. Not too hard. We are taking a bit of damage here, but nothing that our shield can't handle, alright? And he's about to die here. There we go. He's dead. The boss is dead. Now we just gotta charge this teleporter. And collect this item. Look at that, we got a banjo. So this is going to zap enemies. You can see that little electric stream coming out. A small chance of that happening, and allows us to chain damage lightning around on enemies. A lot of these bomb noobs coming at me. And there we go, just like that. Boss fight's over, Rift Generator event is over, and we can move on to the next stage. We'll collect our ticks and our XP here, and we will move on to the next stage. We are traveling to the next stage. I haven't changed this yet. I'm not sure what I want to do with this. I think I want to do like a cutscene maybe, or something kind of more cool for the transitions between stages. This stinking punk right here trying to attack me while I'm talking. Stinking punk. Anyways. Welcome to the next map. Another thing I think I should show you is there's this kind of cool stylized water I made with a module. So, kind of looks like it's real water, and then I have the textures updating based on the global wind in the game. And then if you go and you jump in it, yeah, you can splash it in. It's kind of cool. It's not actual, like, Roblox water, so you can't swim in it. And I made that choice because I thought it was kind of awkward having your character swimming along with enemies in the game, so I just kind of made it like this. So there's no swimming, but it still looks like water. I'm gonna banhammer these guys into non-existence, into oblivion. And this punk over here trying to... You see this punk right here? Now he's a dead punk. So as you can see, the gameplay loop of this game is just extremely similar to Risk of Rain. That's what this game's inspired on. Of course, you know, there's going to be unique stuff added in here, so it's not like a one-to-one of Risk of Rain 2. There's going to be different unique items. Obviously, the enemies are different. The abilities are different. So we're just going to kind of keep moving that direction, add some unique twists here and there, and just keep moving that direction. Keep polishing the game, keep adding stuff. Make it a fun game, an enjoyable game for players. And maybe we'll take over the Roblox front page. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Finally, we got a knife. This will allow me to do a lot more damage. Nearly one-hitting little bomb noobs. Oh look, here, look. We got a player point. Check that out. We got a player point. So this is going to be the in-game currency for buying stuff in the game. This is going to serve as like the game economy. Wow, we got another one. What the heck? They have a 1% chance of dropping on every enemy you kill on the hardest difficulty. So in about a 40-minute run, you can expect to collect maybe about, I don't know, I think 20 to 30 within a 40-minute run. So they're not too uncommon, and that's on the hardest difficulty. So, you know, we can collect these coins, and you can use them to purchase stuff. We're probably planning for you to be able to purchase different playable survivors, probably cosmetics, maybe other things in the game. Not quite too sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's going to serve as the in-game economy. Obviously, you're going to be able to use them to purchase. I think there's going to be interactables we're going to add in the game to really beef up a run, but it's going to cost you a player point. So you gotta spend your precious player points that you earn. And we're also thinking of adding a shop for like game modifiers. So to change gameplay up or to spice things up or whatever, you can spend player points in the lobby for a run to kind of change how things work. And then maybe, who knows, maybe we could make a purchasable thing with player points. It's going to cost a lot of player points though to be able to access this admin panel. So that way you could like give yourself items, manipulate stuff in the game, and then just kind of see behaviors in the game, do fun stuff, mess around with friends. I don't know, something like that. Could be a good idea. But otherwise, that's kind of all I've got to show you so far for this devlog. I'm probably forgetting a lot of things. It's been, you know, a few months, so I don't know exactly. But of course, just leave a comment if you have a question about certain things. If you have a suggestion of things for me to add. If you want to know how certain systems work, leave a comment, and I'll discuss it on the next devlog. Otherwise, I appreciate you sticking around, watching. Have fun developing whatever projects you're working on, or if you're not working on anything at all and you're just here to watch this devlog, then thanks for watching. And I will see you in the next video.